Sure, sure.
Okay. A very warm welcome to all of you. I welcome all of you for this webinar series on behalf of Helixon. Helixon is a medtech enterprise that was founded in collaboration with IIT Chennai, and it is based out of IIT Chennai Research Park, and it has got over 7 years of extensive clinical research experience, and we have comprehensive clinically validated digital patient engagement platforms. Under the banner of Helixon Cares, a lot of educational initiatives have been undertaken, and this is one such program, and we have many more to come in future. I welcome all of you to this webinar, and this particular webinar was done keeping in mind, even though we are doctors and many of us have a lot of questions regarding what to say, vaccination, though we have been involved in doing the trials, though we have told all our patients to take them, we ourselves at many a times have queries. We have received so many questions that we thought, okay, well, now it's time to listen or hear from the expert himself. Our speaker for today, Dr. Shubhro, is Shubhro Jyoti Bhaumik, is a medical graduate from Calcutta University, and he secured a gold medal in OBG. He's done his MD pharmacology from IPGMER, Kolkata. He has over 14 years of extensive experience in clinical research. His specialty is in pharmacovigilance, clinical research, you name it, and he is expert in that. He is also an NABH assessor, principal assessor. He is in the committee for NABH for both hospitals and institutional ethics committee. He has done his certification in clinical research administration and project management from Stanford University, USA, and in patient management and safety from Johns Hopkins University. He's also done his fellowship in healthcare from quality from International Society of Quality in Healthcare from Ireland. He is actually qualified as an NABH assessor. He's empaneled among the assessors. He has done, I don't know, it's probably not able to keep a count on the NABH assessments of the hospitals and IECs, because he's been working over 5 years with NABH. He has chaired so many sessions. He's been involved in so many clinical trials. Probably it will take another 10 minutes for me to introduce him, but I'll cut it short and give you his current designation. He is attached with PLS Hospital and Research Center in Kolkata as Clinical Director of Academics. And he's the first Indian doctor to be awarded with the prestigious Lucian League Patient Safety Fellowship. I have known Dr. Shubhro Jyoti for over 10 years now, and frankly speaking, he is one of a kind. He is expertise in clinical research, conducting trials. He has been involved in multiple clinical trials, especially this Covaxin and also Sputnik. So I think I will hand over the session to Dr. Shubhro. I am Dr. Sudha, and I'm consulting for Helixon currently. And Dr. Shubhro, without any further delay, I'll hand over the session to you. And I would like to tell all the participants, thank them for taking part in this. We have received overwhelming responses in less than 48 hours for this session, which itself shows how many questions we all have. I have compiled the questions into groups in the end. So after Dr. Shubhro's talk, we will have a discussion on it, and I'll open the floor after that also if you have any further questions. So I welcome you all again, and Dr. Shubhro, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Sudha, for that wonderful introduction, and good afternoon, one and all. It's a very difficult time that we are all stuck up in our places because of lockdown, but I think we'll try and do some good utilization of this time which has been given by Dr. Sudha and her company. So let me pull up my presentation. Okay, so good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Dr. Sudha, for this wonderful opportunity. And as Dr. Sudha was mentioning, I would say that I have known Dr. Sudha for a pretty long time, and she is one of the most academically inclined pharmaceutical physicians I have found. And I think this is an extremely important session today, what we are going to have, because there are among the medical community, there are a lot of questions from the medical community. There are questions in the general mass about the COVID-19 vaccine. So I also thank Elixon for this opportunity, and I would say that this is an extremely important issue right now, that we get our facts and myths busted, facts corrected, and myths busted for COVID-19 vaccine. So let me begin with a disclaimer that all views expressed are extremely personal, and none of them are of my employers or any of the organization I work for. And I'm not a vaccinologist, I'm a clinical pharmacologist involved in COVID-19 vaccine trials. And whatever information I've gathered, I would say I've gathered as a result of working with these vaccine trials. So somebody the other day was asking me that, are you a vaccinologist? And I'm still about to figure out what is a vaccinologist. I knew immunologist and pharmacologist, but what is a vaccinologist? So I'm not a vaccinologist. So, as a customary to begin the presentation, I would say that the numbers are soaring high and we don't want to talk about these numbers. World is witnessing a bad pandemic and it's killing, look at those figures. It's killed a lot and lot many people. Even India, we have so many confirmed cases and we have crossed more than 2.5 lakh deaths. So what is the major tool to prevent these deaths or the infection? I would say definitely it is the COVID-19 vaccination. And the COVID-19 vaccination, India is doing good, but not best, I would say, because if you really look at the data, there's a lot of the Indian population which is left to be vaccinated. And we being the frontline workers, the doctors, the healthcare providers, I would say the Safai Karmis and everybody got their first dosage. And initially they got vaccinated. And then of course, sequentially, because of the vaccine triaging, the government has opened up for 18 years and above from 1st May. So if you look at the global scenario of vaccine development, it is very, very promising. Currently, there are 184 vaccine candidates in the preclinical development phase. That is before they are being tested on human beings. 84 are in the phase 1, 2, and 3, and 15 vaccine candidates are in phase 3 clinical trials. So 15. May I request anybody who's not presenting to be on mute, please? That would help me to present. Thank you. If else others can be on mute. Yes, thank you. So there are 15 vaccine candidates in the phase 3 trial, and the reason why I am showing you this slide is because even if you're not getting your vaccines today, don't be disheartened. For a country like India, people ask me that, how will only Covaxin, Covishield, Sputnik, they will do justice. They will definitely do justice because you have so many other vaccines coming behind them. And so don't be impatient, just be patient. And if you really look at COVID-19 vaccines in India, the Indian landscape is very, very bright. It is very, very strong. Number 1, 2, and 4 is already in the market now. I would say 1 and 2, Covishield and Covaxin. Covishield is by the Serum Institute of India, and the collaborator is AstraZeneca and Oxford University. We have the maximum vaccination in India. 90% of the vaccination in India currently has been done with the help of Covishield vaccine. Covaxin, our very own, it is our Indian vaccine, is being produced by Bharat Biotech International Limited in Hyderabad, and we are very proud that an Indian company has been able to collaborate with the Indian Council of Medical Research, and 10% of the vaccination schedule right now is with Covaxin. Sputnik vaccine, I was involved in the clinical trial in Eastern India, and I've seen that this is a excellent vaccine which we had given to our human participants here. And this is being brought in the Indian market by Dr. Reddy's laboratory, again from Hyderabad. And they have a collaborator of Gamalaya National Center, which is a Russian Army Medical Research Center in Russia. I'm going to talk about the other vaccines in the next part of my presentation. So COVID-19 vaccine in India. Currently, there are 3 COVID-19 vaccines which are authorized for emergency use in India. Now, the first question, who should take a vaccine? I would say that it is important that everybody who is eligible above 18 years takes the vaccine. But sometimes, we are very confused. If we have eczema, should we take the vaccine? If we have asthma, should we take the vaccine? I would put it this way. It is very, very important for the individual to speak to their doctors, to, to consult their healthcare provider, because every risk is individualistic. And every individual risk has to be assessed on person to person basis. So currently the Indian government guideline is very, very clear that 18 years and above should take the vaccine, and people who cannot take the vaccine is very, very limited, is extremely limited. If you look at the vaccine rollout program in India, it started on 16 January 2021, and from 1st May 2021, the phase 3 has begun, where all above 18 years of age are getting the vaccine. And so we have, why this kind of policy was taken? Because of vaccine triaging, because our country has a vaccine shortage. People who were exposed to coronavirus or COVID-19 on a day-to-day basis were given the vaccine before the rest of the population. But from 1st May 2021, as we see the second wave surge so horrendously, we have opened up the vaccination schedule for 18 years and above. Now, going into details about the individual vaccine, I begin the slide with Covaxin. Covaxin, it's an indigenous vaccine of the country, and the ICMR on one hand has collaborated with the National Institute of Virology, and if you really see the phase 1, phase 2 data they have been published also. It has been completed and phase 2 has been published, and till date 85% efficacy has been noticed in the phase 2 data. The phase 3 trial is going on, but if the phase 3 trial is going on, then people can ask, how is this vaccine approved? The vaccine was approved on basis of emergency authorization. What is an emergency authorization? Emergency authorization is a situation in which the government of a country can authorize any drug or device or any vaccine when it has to take care of a public health emergency. And this is done in the middle of the ongoing clinical trials to understand, to control this public health emergency. So the Covaxin has received emergency authorization on 3rd January 2021, after which vaccination with Covaxin has begun. Now, interesting part about Covaxin is this is probably one of the first Indian vaccines which have shown to neutralize the UK variant, which is the very, very infectious variant. We were totally going gaga from last September, and this has been shown to neutralize the UK variant and by the National Institute of Virology in Pune. Till date, the recorded efficacy is close to 85%. Now coming to Covishield, the Serum Institute of India, the Oxford University and AstraZeneca has developed this collaboratively. DCGI approval for the phase 3 is done, and interim analysis of the data has been done, and DCGI, the Drug Controller General of India, has approved has emergency authorization has been given to Covishield as well. Till date, a recorded efficacy is 76%. And there is an article in Oxford by Professor Shaw. There's an article from Oxford University. I'm sorry, there's an article from Oxford University published in the world famous Lancet journal, which mentions that 2 doses given at 12 weeks apart provides 81% efficacy. So the government recently, you must have noticed that the government has changed the dosing schedule of Covishield from 6 to 8 weeks to 12 to 16 weeks. And one of the scientific reasons which is being given is this Oxford article, which mentions that if they are given at two doses are given at 12 weeks apart, they provide an whooping 81% efficacy. What is this efficacy? The efficacy is the power of the vaccine to prevent the infection. And what infection is this? This is the COVID-19 infection. If you have to compare Covishield and Covaxin, these were the two emergency approval vaccine. If you see, wait, if we see these two vaccines, both the vaccines are required in double dosage. You require Covaxin to be given at 4 to 6 weeks, the first dose, and the second dose is given at 4 to 6 weeks. So and so is Covishield. First dose is given, and then 12 to 16 weeks, the second dose is given. The storage temperature. Now, this is a very important thing, ladies and gentlemen. The storage of the vaccine is possible by a refrigerator, 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. The storage for both the vaccines is required in 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. Now, if you look at the vaccine type, one is an inactivated vaccine, the other one is a chimpanzee adenovirus vector vaccine. So these, if the modality of the vaccine is different, but they ultimately induce the antibody against COVID-19 in your body. Sputnik 5, this is the third vaccine which has been given emergency approval in the country. Dr. Reddy's laboratory and the Gamaleya Research Institute in Russia have developed the vaccine, and just like the Covishield, it has got an adenovirus-based vaccine. So there are two components, component 1 and component 2, and immunogenicity increases when you give component 1 followed by component 2 at 21 weeks. So this also requires a 2-dose vaccination schedule, and 1,500 volunteers on already clinical trial has been conducted, and the trial is nearing completion, will be ending in the month of June. Our hospital was one of the sites in Eastern India, and let me tell you, we had a very good experience of using this vaccine because 20 research participants at our hospital received this vaccine, and only one has reported till date with a COVID-19 infection. The Russian phase 3 data is published, whereas the phase 3 data from the Indian trials are still awaited. The Indian trial data will be published very soon. What do we see in the Russian clinical trial data? 91.6% efficacy, whereas Covishield has 76% efficacy in the phase 3 trial data, which is from the UK. So this has been made available from May 2021. Last week, the people who are working in Dr. Reddy's laboratory, they have got their vaccinations. So very soon, Sputnik will be available in the hospitals nearby you and in the community vaccination center. Now, if you ask, many times people ask, why did the government not bring the Pfizer vaccine, Moderna vaccine to the country? If you really look at the vaccines which are currently being used worldwide, you see the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccine, they have high efficacy around 94, 95%, but the storage requirement is just so stringent. Just minus 80 to minus 60, if we have to keep it for at least 6 months, minus 25 to minus 15. Now, this is extremely difficult for a country like India, where you have to ship and you have to send it to different places. And as a result of which, the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine or the Sputnik vaccine is now, the dry form is now going to be pushed by the government as well as by the manufacturer. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine, known as Janssen, which is a single dose vaccine, also requires 2 to 8 degrees Celsius, and the clinical trials of this vaccine are going to begin very, very soon. So the not only having the vaccine, it is important, but storing the vaccine is very, very important, because very recently literature has come out that one of the reasons for vaccine failure to prevent infection is because the vaccine storage is not proper. If the vaccine storage is not proper, then it does not help. Now, what is the next vaccine which is going to be approved in the country? And my take is that it is going to be the Zycov D vaccine of Zydus Cadila, because the phase 2, phase 3 trial has been completed. Phase 2 and phase 1 and phase 2 has been completed, and phase 3 interim analysis has been submitted to the DCGI's office. And we may hear a good news very soon, because this is a very heat resistant vaccine. So much so that this one vial can be kept for 6 hours at 25 degrees Celsius. So this is a very, very good solution to our country, where we need vaccines to be kept at a room temperature, which can get very, very warm at sometimes. The biological is this is the next company which is doing the novel COVID-19 vaccine, and the DCGI approval has been already given for phase 1, phase 2, and this vaccine will be also very soon coming out in the market, because these all vaccines will undergo interim analysis and emergency authorization. So we are planning to do this vaccine trial at our site as well. Now, coming to a game changer vaccine, it is the BBB154 intranasal vaccine, and the phase 1 has already started, and the vaccine has been brought by none other than Bharat Biotech. And this is going to be a game changer, because whenever the patients are getting infected, they are getting infected usually from the nasal and the pharyngeal mucosa. So the phase 1 is already ongoing, and I'm very, very hopeful that this BBB154 intranasal vaccine, which one of the Indian companies are undertaking, can change the way how we are looking at the vaccines. Now, coming to the next important aspect, side effects. Do vaccines have side effects? The answer is yes, because in medical profession or in medical science, something which has got effect will have side effect. Something which does not have any effect will not have any side effect. So you have to agree to the fact that even when you are taking poppin and pills, suppose you've got an allergy on your skin and you take an anti-allergic, the histamine will reduce around that area and the itching will come down, but that anti-allergic will sedate you. That anti-allergic will put you to sleep. So that is a side effect. So the same comes with COVID-19 vaccine. When the vaccines enter your body, they can have local reactions like pain at the injection site. Some patients can, some volunteers or some participants can complain of fever, fatigue, headache, muscle pain, chills, and diarrhea. And I have personally come across many people who have received the vaccine and have got diarrhea for 24 to 48 hours. One of the very, very least common side effects is anaphylaxis. Anaphylaxis is a severe reaction which happens where you have laryngeal edema or difficulty in breathing. But ladies and gentlemen, please be rest assured that these vaccines, wherever they are being given, you will be given under medical supervision. And the government of India regulates or commands or directs all the vaccination centers to have what do you call anaphylactic kit. The anaphylaxis kit contains injection adrenaline, injection hydrocortisone, and you also have even the syringes and the needle, so that the patient who at least or the person who is developing the slightest symptom of anaphylaxis, these two injections could be given and life could be saved. Now, let me tell you that it is extremely important that there are certain side effects which can happen later up till 28 days, and the government asks you that you must report back to the center where you have taken the vaccination. But more or less, if I give you a statistics, the Indian data mentions that out of 18 crore vaccination which has been given, the assessment is that around only 18,000 patients, which is less than 0.001% case, have reported the adverse event following immunization. And majority of them are the adverse events which have been mentioned in the slide above, on my first point. The other thing which we have to keep in mind is that when we vaccinate an individual, the person does not get immunity from that minute. The immunity builds up. So in between vaccination schedule, you are quite susceptible to get the infection. So you must follow COVID appropriate behavior, maintain social distancing, use appropriate masks, and wash your hands or sanitize your hand. Because many a times I have seen people will just take the first jab and they will believe that that they have been vaccinated. That is absolutely wrong. That's a wrong concept. It's a myth that you will require even after your second dose, after 14 days or 21 days, the immunity reaches to a level where you can call yourself protected. So the take home message will be, after you take your first jab, at least now for the Covishield vaccine, you will require at least 6 to 8 weeks for the antibodies to come to a level where they are able to protect you. But even so, you have to maintain COVID appropriate behavior during this time. If you don't do it, you always have a chance of getting infected. Now let us go to some myths and facts about vaccine. The COVID-19 vaccines were prepared in a hurry. This is one myth, and so they are unsafe. Absolutely wrong, because every country in the world regulates vaccine development. So does India. India has released the regulatory document on how the COVID-19 vaccination will be prepared, will be assessed by the companies who are developing it, how they will develop it, and how the regulator will assess. And clear-cut guidelines are mentioned on what should be taken as an endpoint. Clear-cut guidelines are mentioned on what should be taken as a side effect. So no steps are being skipped. And it's only not the regulator which approves it. There are something known as the subject expert committees, where you have independent experts coming from different parts of the country, and they give their opinion, and in a consensus only the COVID-19 vaccine is approved. The other thing is, COVID-19 vaccine will alter my DNA. Absolutely not. This COVID-19 vaccine, for the vaccines which we are receiving in India, we are not giving mRNA vaccines as of now, but was a myth in the United States. This is not the thing, because the mRNA never enters the nucleus of the human cell, and the body gets rid of the mRNA soon after it has produced the antibody. COVID-19 vaccines has severe side effects, including allergic reaction, severe allergic reaction. Anaphylaxis reactions are very less. In fact, in our country, they will be, out of crores of people who have been vaccinated, there will be hardly 10 or 20 cases. So this is the acceptable danger we have to take, the risk benefit we have to take. The risk of vaccinating is definitely less than the benefit of vaccinating, because we are able to prevent death if we are able to vaccinate people, because that is the most dreaded complication. And I again told you that even if you get an allergic reaction, you must pop in. There are medications which can help you. And in case of severe condition, you will be able to be managed by the medical professionals at site. COVID-19 vaccination causes infertility in women. Absolutely bullshit. This is not absolutely, this is a wrong statement. It has got no effect with the fertility of men and fertility of the woman, because there is no protein sharing between the spike protein or the placental protein or the testis protein or the ovarian protein. So there can never be an infertility in the male or female because of COVID-19 vaccine. Now the next question is that I've been diagnosed with COVID-19 vaccine. COVID-19 infection? Do I need to take the vaccine? The answer is yes, because if you have got the infection, according to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, you should receive the vaccine. And as per the revised guidelines, now you should receive it 3 months after you have got your infection treated. So 3 months of becoming negative or becoming cured from COVID-19 infection. Once I receive the COVID-19 vaccine, I no longer need to wear the mask. I have clearly discussed this that one dose will not help, second dose will not help because we never know the person who is coming in front of us who is vaccinated or not vaccinated. Having said that, I will talk about something which is positive. CDC Atlanta, USA is now giving direction, and I think WHO is going to accept that direction in coming due days. Is that if you are in a group where you have people who have been vaccinated and you know the people that they have been vaccinated, and you are in a closed environment, and the people have received both the vaccine doses and they have not suffered from COVID-19 infection, you will definitely, you can remove your mask in those closed group where you know the vaccination status of the individual. But because we don't know the vaccination status of majority of the individual in India currently, we cannot have the luxury of removing the mask. We have to keep wearing the mask. Can I get COVID-19 from the vaccine? The answer is no, because the COVID-19 vaccine, whatever I mentioned, even the COVID-19 vaccine, whatever I have mentioned, whether this is the Sputnik vaccine or the adenovirus or the Covishield vaccine, the adenovirus which is being used, these are inactivated adenovirus and they are used as one of the transport medium to transport the spike proteins of the spike protein of the coronavirus. And Covaxin on the other side is a killed vaccine. So killed vaccines cannot replicate. So you will never get infection of COVID infection from COVID-19 vaccine. But ladies and gentlemen, you can always get an infection while you are going to a contaminated vaccinating site. So please, please, please be very careful if you have long queues and you are waiting in a contaminated vaccination site, because many a times my patients have come back and they have said, I got the vaccine, after 4 days I got COVID-19 infection. It is not for the vaccine, it is for the person across you, around you, or the surfaces where you have gone to take the vaccine, they were probably contaminated. I am not at severe risk of COVID-19. So these are the common question which is asked by the younger population, 22 years, 23 years. I think regardless of your risk, you can contract the disease. And this second wave has shown us that no one, absolutely no one is, I would say, is away, or no one is protected from death. So it is always better to use this shield. It is always better to use this armor to protect you. And ultimately, protection, what we are looking at is the protection from death from COVID-19. If I receive COVID-19 vaccine, I am at a greater risk to become sick of another illness. Currently, there is no evidence to suggest that the vaccine heightens your risk to become sick from other illness. So what do you do and what do you don't do of vaccination? Please get your COVID-19 vaccine when it is your turn. Don't do this dilly-dallying that, I will take it, not take it. Discuss with an clinician, discuss with your house physician, discuss with an expert and take your vaccine. Do contact your physician if you have adverse events of the vaccine for more than 72 hours. If you have adverse events for more than 72 hours, ladies and gentlemen, you might be very, very unlucky. You might have contaminated the disease while you were receiving the vaccine. Do help people in your life to get the vaccine. This is particularly, I always tell this to all the healthcare workers who are working across the country, that we should try and vaccinate as many individuals, try and increase awareness of as many individuals, so that this way India is able to control the waves which are going to come. Please stay up to date. Also, please don't stop wearing your mask and continuing COVID appropriate behavior after you've taken the vaccination, because the immunity is slow to build on. And please don't assume others are safe around you because you have got vaccinated. You are safe, but the others probably might not be safe. So to summarize, I would say that after emergency authorization of DCGI, the process of COVID-19 vaccination has begun, and 90% of the vaccination has been given by Covishield, 10% is given by Covaxin. Sputnik 5 is the newest edition, and this will be available soon. And I'm very, very sure that from June we will be able to get this vaccine. Presently, 18 years and above, they are getting the vaccine, and the vaccine is safe, I would say, and it is extremely essential and necessary for all the Indian citizens. So we must believe the Indian government and take the vaccine. And don't listen to these WhatsApp universities. Don't listen to these Telegram universities. Please, to avoid any kind of myths related to vaccination, consult a physician for candid information. This is what I have been doing. Telemedicine is something which I always help, and I help my patients. I'm trying to take care of their vaccination questions, queries, wherever I have issues, and I always try to help them. I would say that if the doctors were in this audience, I'm told by Dr. Sudha, so please let us use telemedicine efficiently to bust the myth and reinforce the facts about the vaccine. So to conclude, I will say we have to be informed, we have to be prepared, we have to be smart, and we have to be safe to fight COVID-19. And the best measure is prevention, and one of the best measure in prevention is our vaccine. Let us all take the vaccine and be safe. Thank you. With this, I would like to end the presentation, and we will like to go for discussion.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shubhro. I think we would like to see you. Dr. Harsh, give me 2 minutes. I have compiled all the questions from all the participants. We had around 209 registrations, so we got in a lot of questions. I'll just, I have compiled it into a few. I will discuss it with Dr. Shubhro. Once we get the answer, then we will open the session for all of you to ask if you have any more questions. Dr. Shubhro, the first thing is the presentation was excellent. Thank you. Being doctors also, sometimes it is difficult for us to keep ourselves updated with what is the current trial, what is happening, what is the immunogenicity, what is going on, to keep updated is very difficult. So this was very, very informative that way with evidence. So thank you for that evidence-based medicine and enlightening all of us with your session. Now, if I could ask you from the questions from the audience, the questions are like this. Which vaccine is preferred, Covaxin, Covishield, or should I wait for the Pfizer or Sputnik? These are some of the questions that have come up, Shubhro.
Yeah, so I think you're asking a very difficult question. I don't know, I'm getting an echo. I think probably, do you have to unmute yourself? I don't know. I'm hearing myself again. Yeah. Now this is fine. I'm sorry. Maybe when I speak, you can't speak, or I have to keep this way. Anyway, Sudha, thank you so much. That's a very difficult question at the outset. Let me first congratulate the person who's asked that question. It's definitely a googly question. So when we say a vaccine A is better than vaccine B is better than vaccine C, we need head-on comparison trials. And currently, there are no head-on comparison trials between vaccine A and vaccine B and vaccine C. So we cannot, I think it will be very unfair on my part or anybody's part to say that vaccine A is better than vaccine B or vaccine C. What we can do is compare the data which is available with us right now. So if you see in the Indian data which is published is of Covaxin, which shows an efficacy of 85% in phase 2. Now we still don't know the phase 3 data. We don't know the phase 3 data. As per as a communication from ICMR, the phase 3 data is roughly around 78%, which of course requires publication in a peer-reviewed journal. So this is the standing of, I would say, Covaxin. So 78% phase 3, 85% phase 2. If I take 78% phase 3, now we move to Covishield. Covishield, which is AstraZeneca's vaccine, entire data has come from UK, Brazil, South Africa. Indian data is still not published. And what is the data which we are seeing? We are seeing around 72 to 74%. And that is not again Indian data, that is a phase 3 data. And if we look at Sputnik trial, 92% data has come from the Russian vaccine trial, which has happened for more than 20,000 Russians. But Sputnik phase 3 trial data in Indians are not published. It's still not available in the peer-reviewed journal. So I would say, if I would have to really pick up my option in the current Indian context, it is only Covaxin which has the Indian publication which is available, and that gives a very strong, I would say 85% plus efficacy and 78% plus efficacy in the phase 2 data, phase 3 data. Covishield, we are looking forward that we get some kind of an immunogenicity efficacy data in the Indian vaccine, but then I would put it at say roughly around 70 to 72%. And now Sputnik is coming. Of course, Sputnik is, we are waiting 1,500 patients data, which will be published very soon, but Sputnik is 92%. So I will say, don't wait, but don't crowd the vaccination center also. Don't be in a hurry to be, in that line, in that queue that you get infected. Just book your slots. If you are getting in the CoWIN, book your slots, go to centers when you get your timelines, get the vaccine, because whether it is Sputnik, whether it is Covaxin, whether it is Pfizer, whether it is Moderna, or I would say Covishield, every vaccine has been shown to reduce a severe form of infection. And ladies and gentlemen, we want to fight the severe form of infection, and which eventually can lead to death. So right now where we stand, we should not have a choice. We should take the vaccine which comes to us. If we have the luxury that we can pick up a vaccine, if I had the luxury, then I would have gone ahead and picked up Covaxin, because probably Covaxin has the current data which is available that it is working against the British infectious strain, and so ICMR has come out with those kind of clarifications or notifications, as you would say. So again, having said that, if you're being jabbed with Covishield, if you're being jabbed with Sputnik, don't think that you got a bad vaccine, because every vaccine is protecting you, if not from infection, but from death. You have to unmute, I guess, now.
Very true, Dr. Shubhro. That is what I would suggest as well, because it is very important that majority of the population gets vaccinated. So irrespective of, unless you have a choice, yes, it would be as per evidence, as Dr. Shubhro rightly said, Covaxin. Otherwise, please do not wait. Right now, we are in the midst of the pandemic. It is really, really important that there is development of good immunity among everyone. And it's very important to protect the elderly and the children if this, via this whole mass vaccination program. So yes. And Shubhro, the next question is, should pregnant and lactating women be vaccinated?
So yes, the answer is very clear. The answer is yes. They have to get the vaccine, because as per the advisory which has come from the government last week, pregnant and lactating mothers have to be vaccinated.
The next question is, how long does the immunity last after 2 doses? Is a booster needed?
I think that's a great question. I want to congratulate the person who's asked that question. So the answer to this, we don't know the answer to this, because the immunogenicity data is being captured as a part of the clinical trials, the phase 3 clinical trials which are on. So let me tell you that the Covishield phase 3 clinical trial has ended this month and the immunogenicity data analysis is going on. And the Sputnik will end next month. The Covaxin will end next month as well. So currently, I would say that whatever data we have got, we know that once a person suffers from COVID-19 infection, the antibody levels remain in the person between 8 months to 10 months. We have data from South Korea, from China, from United States, and from Australia. So this is publication are there that so roughly 8 to 10 months. And the United Kingdom has started the booster vaccine study. They have proposed to start the booster vaccine study from July by the NIHR, and even the Covaxin vaccine is being tried as a booster vaccine. So currently standing today on 21st of May, the answer to this would be that going by the trend of the character of the COVID-19 infection, it looks that we might require an additional jab, a booster every year, just like the influenza vaccine, because unfortunately, the infection results to antibodies which is weaning off. So yes, that's a probability and evidence generation is going on. We have to wait for the NIHR study to come to an interim analysis in September to October, as well as our own Government of India study with the Covaxin, which will be out at the same point of time. Currently, the Indian government regulations don't warrant a third jab or a booster dose.
Thank you. Thank you for that answer. And the next question is, what happens if the two doses of the vaccine, whether Covaxin or Covishield, have been, if people are not able to take it at the right interval, then what is it okay to prolong it? And in between, the government increase the duration for the vaccination. Is that okay?
Well, I'll talk more scientifically than politically. So I would say that we definitely know it's a known fact that India's vaccine production has been low, and in between we have supplied 60 million vaccines to the poor countries in the world, including Brazil. So that has really hurt our vaccine production and distribution. And I think that's the result that on basis of Professor Shaw's publication, which has come in the Lancet, we have increased the duration so that at least the Covishield one dose could be given to maximum population in the country. Now, to answer your first question, Sudha, that if the dose is missed, we don't give it on 42 days, we give it on 68 days. Ladies and gentlemen, please believe that when a vaccine is given to you, then there is something known as the humoral immunity which is being generated, and there are memory cells in the body which are generated. So it is not that the memory cells die out. They take the picture of this antigen and they keep it with them. So whenever you get the second chance to get the vaccine, please take it. Please take the vaccine because it will trigger the memory cell and the antibody levels are going to increase. So it goes without saying that yes, now we have data that for Covishield, if we give it at 12 weeks, the efficacy rate is going up from 71% to 81%. We have also the similar data coming in from Russia that they had initially given at 21 days, now have increased it to 12 weeks. I think the reason might be the scarcity of vaccine in Russia as well, and they have also found that the efficacy increases. So no dose is a wasted dose. Please remember this. Whenever you get vaccine, get yourself jabbed, and in between, please protect yourself with COVID appropriate behavior.
Dr. Shubhra, if you could switch on your video, we'll be happy the participants can see you.
I know I am trying, but there is some technical difficulty. I'm not able to open it.
No issues. Your session has been extremely good, and majority of our participants know you, so I don't think it's a problem. Some people have asked why 2 doses. Some vaccine 2 doses, some are 1 dose, single dose. Why?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So let me tell you that the WHO defines the efficacy of a vaccine to be effective and approved in any country by a regulator to be 50%. 50% efficacy. That means when you compare it with a placebo, there must be 50% of the individual who have got the vaccine should be protected from COVID-19 infection. So 50% is a very, very important landmark or a milestone. So when you give, I'll take the example of Johnson & Johnson vaccine. When you give the single dose of this vaccine, the clinical trials show that with a single dose, 66% of the recipients are protected from COVID-19 vaccine. So with a single dose, the pass mark, if I could call 50% as a pass mark of becoming an approved or an emergency authorized vaccine, is surpassed. So 66 is above 50. So single dose vaccine is allowed by the regulator. Now, when I come to Covishield, single dose 32% efficacy, double dose 74% efficacy. So you need double dose. So that is the reason double dose required for certain vaccines, single dose required for certain vaccines. Some students can pass with 8 hours study. Some students require only half an hour study. So it depends on the student who studies.
Absolutely. As Dr. Shubhra showed in his presentations, we have so many different vaccine candidates. So depending on its, how it eventually works, it matters. Thank you, Shubhra. And I'll open the session for questions from the audience. I think Dr. Harsh is here. Dr. Harsh, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yeah, and yes, sure. Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Shubhra. It was an excellent one and good initiative by Sudha ma'am. I have a couple of questions. One of them already answered about the antibodies and whether the need of booster is there. Another question was, will vaccination alter the result of RT-PCR? If you could throw light on that.
Yeah, that's also a very good question. See, RT-PCR is a diagnostic test and RT-PCR detects antigen. It is not detecting antibody, to be frank with you. So antigens, when we are infected with the infection, then we have to be our nasopharyngeal swabs and oropharyngeal swabs should have adequate amount of antigen to be detected. So RT-PCR's antigen cannot be affected by the antibodies, and if they are affected by the antibodies, then you are protected. So you will, if you are protected, then you probably not have the infection, or if you have the infection, you will have, frankly speaking, you will be a false negative COVID positive infection. So to be frank with you, RT-PCRs are only required as a diagnostic test. And the vaccinated individuals, we are looking at antibodies. So if you're asking me that can a vaccinated individual have infection, the answer is yes. We have found it in hospitals that vaccinated individuals have infections and RT-PCR detected those infections. Because
that was not the case, sir.
Yeah.
The reason behind asking this question was many of the MNCs and the companies, they do ask their employees when getting back to the job to bring a RT-PCR report. Some of them have said me that I have not been exposed or anything, but post-vaccination the RT-PCR is coming positive. So was that a real infection or was it because of the vaccination? That was my query.
No, so to answer you, Dr. Harsh, we have showed that none of the vaccines can produce infection.
Exactly.
We have to understand that let's take the example of Covaxin. It's a killed vaccine. How can a killed vaccine, somebody who's received Covaxin, how can a person who has received a killed vaccine, there are no instances, or it cannot be possible that a killed vaccine can produce a infection in a person. Whereas I have told you again and again that the majority of the people whom we are witnessing, they have got infection while they have been standing in the vaccination center. They are overcrowded, contaminated, and people are getting the infection. And it's a very, very difficult situation, because first 2 days you are getting the fever for your vaccination, the next 3 days you are getting the fever for your infection. So what we have been told by the clinician friends, and what we are telling to everybody, is that beyond 72 hours, if you have fever or any kind of cough or any kind of other symptoms, please go for RT-PCR, because the RT-PCR will detect the antigen. There is nothing to do with antibodies here. The other thing is, the institutions who are asking you to do an RT-PCR negative to come back to work, they are not doing the correct thing. And I take this, I am taking this an authority to tell you, because the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare is the ultimate guiding body, and never ever it has asked anybody anywhere apart from air travel to kind of produce a negative RT-PCR report. So, and even if you're infected, after your isolation period, your negative RT-PCR is not a mandatory requirement.
Right, sir. Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Harsh Salankar, for that question. I think Dr. Divya has a question. Dr. Divya, are you there? Divya Lasya? Mr. Raj, are you there? You could go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, Dr. Sudha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Subra, for the excellent presentation. And I have two questions combined together. When we go for the vaccination and get vaccination done, nowadays we are hearing that there are a lot of counterfeit drugs coming, and vaccines are not an exception, I feel. So how is it possible for us to check the authenticity of the drug which is given? And also at the same time, when the injection is given, how can we ensure that this is still a what I can say, it has its still the potential to execute its activity, like the storage capacity, when the vaccine is taken out, it is only for certain duration, and if it is given after that, it is not going to produce its effect. So how can we ensure of these two things?
I think that's a great question, and thank you, Dr. Raj, for asking that. Counterfeit drugs are issues because we don't have control on where these drugs come to us, or I would say come to the normal people. But if you really look at the till May 1st, or even after that, I mean, I'll take you to the scenario before May 1st. Is the vaccines were coming in a very, very regulated way. They come directly from I talk about the state of Bengal right now, where I'm located. We were not able to purchase directly. People after 1st May are purchasing directly from the manufacturer. So it's a very regulated supply chain management. The government is buying, the government is doing the batch testing, the government is supplying, and the government is ensuring that you are receiving the correct vaccine. And when the vaccine is coming to you, you are receiving you will be getting a certificate. So this was from 1st May. Post 1st May, what is the scenario? We are making the request to the manufacturer, and giving the example of Covishield, and I'll also give you the example of Sputnik. Covishield is directly being sold from the Serum Institute to the CNF, and the CNF is directly through the distributor is coming to us, and this is coming with entire clarity and clarification on how this, when it was released, when was the batch tested. So this information is coming from the company. There are no middle people involved here. So I think we have to really, really ensure that the supply chain management is intact. That's extremely important. Coming to your second question that's a very, very important question. I'm glad that you asked me that question. That, we also have to be aware that when is the time of opening of the bottle, because we know that for Covishield and Covaxin at room temperature, these multi-dose vials can be kept maximally for 6 hours. And you have to ask, it is our right as an recipient, we should ask them, when did you open this vial? There is nothing wrong in it. And I request everybody, in fact, in my vaccination center, people are writing it that the time of opening is this. It's at 10 o'clock in the morning. So by 4 o'clock, this has to be discarded. And this is requested by the individual government authorities that this has to be written. Because even if there are 2 doses, 3 doses lying, Dr. Raj, many of the states in countries, we have got wastages. If you look at the data, one southern state had a wastage rate of 12%. Can you beat it? Why they had a wastage rate of 12% is not that the people, even if the people did not come, these are multi-dose vial, because they were open for 6 hours, that has to be discarded, because the government is at least you have one representative from the corporation, at least in Bengal, who's overseeing this. So we have as an individual, I think it is our responsibility that we ask them, when did we open, because we are supposed to ask it. These are a few tricks, tips, whatever you can say, which can ensure the safety of the recipients.
Actually,
Thank you so much,
I'll
Doctor.
add one sentence to that, Dr. Shubhro. Kerala, if you consider, there was 0% wastage with the vaccination. We can proudly say in Kerala, the Chief Minister announced that we could vaccinate many more people because of that wastage which was calculated on the vial that was saved, and it was given to additional people. That way, governance also matters at times, but we are not here to talk about it. So yes. So the next question, Dr. Shubhro, is from Dr. Divya Lasya. She wants to know what about the relationship between Covishield and blood clots? Is it like, would you like to throw some light on that?
Yeah, so Divya, you've always, as usual, you've asked me a very difficult question. So let me tell you that adverse event monitoring following immunization, in our country is a bit sketchy, to be honest with you. We are monitoring the adverse events till 30 minutes. And after that, the app, we are requesting people that in CoWIN app, we put in any adverse events which happen to us. The question is, are we doing it? The question is, how many of us are ready to do it? And so there have been reports, as you correctly mentioned, of sudden deaths. There have been reports of certain blood clots. But if I cite or quote the government authorities, the Adverse Event Monitoring Committee in the country has found out that causality-wise, this has not been related to the vaccine, and it is statistically very, very meager or not statistically important to relate it to the huge number of people who have received Covishield. So currently, I would say that the Indian government stand through the Adverse Event Monitoring Committee is that the clots which have been reported are not causally related. However, further investigations as well as data capturing is on.
Thank you, Shubhro. I think this is a very informative session. Lot of people have a lot of questions, and I'm so glad you're taking all of them. Thank you, Shubhro, for that patience of yours. There is one question which has been coming up repeatedly. I saw one slide in your yesterday's presentation on International Clinical Trials Day. Dr. Shubhro gave a talk about COVID vaccination. Anyway, I'll ask that for the benefit of the audience. Dr. Shubhro, people are asking, can we interchange the vaccines, like first dose Covaxin, second dose Covishield, or Sputnik, Pfizer? Can we mix? They're asking.
I wish we could do that. I wish. I also wish, like the people who are asking. But the reality is, we have to be, this is a regulated environment. When I say regulated, this is the vaccines are being completely controlled by the central government, by the policies of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. and we are not supposed to do it as per the current regulations. In fact, I really want to throw light on a commentary article which has been published from Oxford University in Lancet again, where they have tried mixing AstraZeneca with Pfizer, because many countries in Western Europe like Denmark, France, they stopped the AstraZeneca vaccine after they had reports of clotting, and they gave the second dose of Pfizer vaccine. So they came out this beautiful study which they did in the United Kingdom. They took the first dose of AstraZeneca and followed it up with the second dose of Pfizer vaccine. What did they find? Most important striking thing was there were more adverse events. Fever, chill, rigor was it was more prominent in these people after you get the second dose. In fact, people said that they felt like they had COVID after they got the second dose. What was good is the immunogenicity was high. It's not that the immunogenicity was low. So it's a very initial part of the paper, because they have not actually specified which arm had the highest immunogenicity. You know, they had AstraZeneca followed by AstraZeneca followed by Pfizer, AstraZeneca followed by Johnson. So they had quite a lot of mixing matching done. But what they are saying is, if you are mixing and matching, paracetamol should be one of the medications which should be mandated. Well, I think in India we have already discovered this even without a clinical trial, because we pop in a paracetamol. So I think we are smarter than the Britishers on those aspects. We have already taken it. We take it whenever we anticipate. But on the serious note, I would say currently the Indian government regulations don't allow mixing and matching. I don't know where we will stand 6 months from now if we really have so many vaccine players come into the market. And with a population of 140 crores, I am not averse to the idea that we might mix and match, which our neighboring country, China, is already doing it. So this is too early to comment, and will be immature-ish on my part to say that it is not a possibility. Definitely it's a possibility, because if we can get one dose from one vaccine and protect, as Dr. Sudha mentioned, protection is very, very important. If we can protect our population from the death of cruel COVID-19, that will be the ultimate aim. So too early to comment that whether this should be allowed or not allowed. 21st May 2021, it's not allowed.
Dr. Subra, another question is, does any blood test, is there any requirement for a blood test before going for vaccination?
Well, the answer is it will depend on the person. You know, I would say generally the things, I would make it a list. What are the things required when we go for vaccination? If you have fever, if you have cold, if you have cough, if you have body ache, better not to take the vaccine, because you never know, you might be infected with COVID. So it's not that you should. So if you have other things, no blood test and all is required. If you have these 4 or 5 things, if you have diarrhea, because you know diarrheal, this time the variant is causing a lot of diarrhea in patients. So if you're not clinically unwell, you know, if you're clinically unwell, don't take your jab. But if you want to take the jab, always consult a doctor and go ahead and take a jab.
Okay, I think Dr. Shubro, there are more and more questions coming in, and I'm afraid that we won't be able to take all of them right now. So what I'll do is, for all the participants, you please send your queries, if any. We will answer that. Shubro and myself will answer them. Dr. Shilpa has one last question we will take.
Sure, absolutely.
Ask Dr. Shilpa Batla, please go ahead, because you asked well in the beginning. I'm giving you an opportunity. Please go ahead and ask away.
Thank you, Dr. Sudha, and thank you, Dr. Shivrato, for such a nice, solving of doubts. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
thank you. So just one thing which cropped up my mind, does this vaccine actually is effective against the mutant strains which we are now having? Since multiple mutations are being added on, and
Yeah,
we are vaccinating our population with an initially developed vaccine,
yeah.
which was not prepared keeping in mind because obviously the mutations are happening afterwards.
Right. That's a great question, Dr. Shilpa. Thank you for asking. So I'll give you two aspects of it. One is the mutation has happened and we prepared it. You are absolutely correct. And what do we see on the clinical ground? We see that many of our friends who are doctors, who are nurses, they've all got infected. So the variant has caused the infection, but many of them had mild infection, number one. Majority of them did not require hospitalization, and all of them were managed at home. They were safe. But having said that, with a pinch of salt, some of them have died as well. So I would look at the picture on a holistic level. If this particular vaccine is protecting 90% of the population and not able to protect 10% of the population, this is still effective, according to me, because there is no vaccine in the world, Dr. Shilpa, which gives 100% protection. You would agree with this as well. So I completely echo your thought that as days progress, we might have to bring in new variants of the vaccine, which is characteristic of the influenza virus vaccine as well, because every year we need a new jab because the influenza virus changes its by mutation, it changes its characteristic. And coronavirus being a very close relative of influenza virus, I think this is going to be a reality, and all the trials of these third dose, I think they are going to be these third doses are going to be nothing but the most prevalent variant kind of dose, jab, which we'll be giving. So I would say I will have to give you a positive frame and positive, answer on this, because the ICMR data is very clear on this. Out of, out of 16 crore people who were injected, or with 10 crores with Covishield, 6 crores with Covaxin, they found that people who have received one vaccination, they had infection, they had larger proportion of infection than people who received two vaccines. But what is interesting is death rates and hospitalization rates have been less with people who have received both the vaccines, and that is our ultimate aim in our battle against COVID-19. So definitely we will have to, mature, or I would say we have to modulate as the vaccine, as the mutants become smarter. But because we have found out the process, because the process, that vaccination process has already begun, this is going to be not a very difficult thing to do.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Shilpa, for that question. And it is one of the important questions which bothers us all the time. So I think thank you, Dr. Shubro. We have a lot of medical doctors and a few non-medical people also today on board. We have very extinguished guests today, from professors to non-professors to clinicians to people who are just, families who are interested in asking questions. One last question, Dr. Shubra, if you permit me.
Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
please.
go ahead, please. Mr. Samrat asked, his mom is very concerned that there will be pain on vaccination only on the arm where it is vaccinated, unlike other vaccines. And you are not supposed to rub on the, vaccine. And how to relieve this pain, reduce the pain? I think Dr. Shubra is the right person. He's a pharmacologist too. He'll give you the right explanation to this.
Well, first, let me assure you, you got the right vaccine. Because if you get and I mean, on a serious note, if you get the vaccine, there is a local reaction, and this is the commonest reaction that you will get pain. And I will echo you. I had severe hand pain for 2 days. And what I did was I just popped in a paracetamol. So paracetamol 650 milligram is a very good analgesic. You can go ahead, take it twice or thrice on the first day, and it will come down. Trust me, don't be scared. As I mentioned, something which has got effect will have side effect. Something which does not have any effect will not have any side effect. So this is definitely the local reaction of the vaccine, and this will go away. I want to assure you, there's nothing which is happening which is very serious.
Ma'am, can I ask a question, ma'am?
Yes.
There are some doctors who have taken diclofenac for the pain, and the doctors have died. What is the comment on it, madam?
Well, sir, yes, sir, I would say that it is very difficult to comment on this without knowing the proper history, concomitant medication, comorbidities of these doctors, because we cannot relate it unless and until we have to find out the causality, whether it is related or not related. It will be too wrong to jump to conclusion that the vaccine caused this particular incident. So we need to know entire information. So as of now, there is no advisory saying that you cannot take diclofenac sodium after COVID-19 vaccination in the country. This is very, very clear. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, none of the advisories mentioned that diclofenac sodium could not be taken or should not be taken to reduce arm pain or whatever pain following COVID-19 vaccination.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So frankly speaking, causality assessment, I think, yeah, Dr. Subro is the expert, pharmacovigilance expert. As he said, unless we do a causality assessment, we cannot say it was because of the diclofenac or because of the vaccine. Shubro, you are in demand, huh? I'm assuring you. One last question, okay, from the participants.
Well, you have to. You have to now finalize which is your final last question.
Final. This is last, okay? Then I think you had a question. Please go ahead and ask. I'm opening the floor for you. Are you there? He had one.
I'm there.
Yeah, please go ahead and ask your question.
Dr. Subro, good evening. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello.
We can hear you. We can hear you. Please
Yeah, good evening, sir. Good evening.
Dr. Subro, my simple question is, I'm representing majority of the persons who have taken the Covishield.
Yes.
Because after I took, even including me, I have taken Covishield. From the very next day, I started getting news items telling that Covaxin is taking care of so many variants and all these things. Whereas Covishield, that is, the Serum Institute is not coming out with any publication in support that it is also taking care of all such variants. So just I want to get myself clear whether I have done something wrong in choosing Covishield or I could have waited for Covaxin.
Well, sir, I would say you've done the right thing because I have also taken Covishield, and let me assure you that the Covishield is the AstraZeneca vaccine in the United Kingdom, and there is publication by AstraZeneca in United Kingdom that Covishield is working against the British variant, which is considered to be highly infectious and has resulted in the second wave in United Kingdom. If you're talking about the double mutant strain, the Covaxin, we are yet to find published data of Covaxin or Sputnik or Johnson & Johnson or Covishield that it is working against double strain. So let me assure you, sir, that you have not done the wrong thing. It is, again, we have to understand that when we take Covishield, our ultimate aim is to prevent death. And as of now, the country's data with 18 crore vaccination, of which 90% of the vaccination has been done with Covishield, we have to wait for the analysis that how many of the patients who have died had received double vaccination. Without receiving that particular information, it will be very wrong to jump to conclusion that Covishield is not protecting. So please don't be disheartened that you have taken a wrong decision.
Thank you, Dr. Subro.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shubhro, and thank you, Mr. Ken. Actually, I have also taken Covishield. If you remember, as healthcare workers, we were given vaccination well in advance. At the time point where we started vaccinating healthcare workers, the Covishield, the results of that interim results was much more if immunogenicity was showing as compared to Covaxin, because Covaxin was still in trials, right? So please don't worry about which vaccine you have taken at the minute. In the midst of this pandemic, the priority is to get your vaccine, and that will take care of most of the things. And Dr. Shubhro, thank you so much. I'm sure this session was excellent because there were so many questions, and I am really sorry about the participants for whom we could not take their questions. Trust me, there are more than 200 registrations and 95 participants live at any point of time. So if we have missed out on any questions, please send it across to us. We will respond to you. And once again, Dr. Shubhro, thank you very much. And I would also like to thank Helixon for providing this platform for Dr. Shubhro and myself to give some whatever we knew to share our knowledge with all of you. Thank you, Helixon.
Thank you.
Our MD, Mr. Vijay, Mr. Sridhar, the CEO, and my entire team at Helixon has worked really hard to make this happen, because we had very less time, less than 48 hours, we came up with this program. So thank you, Shubhro, for...
Thank you, Sudha. Thank you. And thank you to Helixon. And I would definitely tell people that take your vaccines. It will protect you, and we need to protect us from death. That is the most important thing. Let's get protected from death and nothing else. Let's save ourselves and save our loved ones. Whichever vaccines we get, let's take it, because they are safe and they're protecting lives across the globe. Sudha, you got muted again, sorry.
Thank you. Thanks for
saying. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much. I thank all the participants on behalf of Helixon for being here. You can look forward for more sessions like this in future. Thank you. Thank you all for participation. Bye-bye.